Hello, dear Shelly friends. I'm Dimitar, and I want to say welcome to our live event for the official launch of the Shelly latest innovative product. As you will see, because of the pandemic situation around the world, we will broadcast this event from multiple locations, both from our office and from home. What we will talk about today? Something that's not impossible before now is reality. 5 years ago, I dreaming about the sensors which were working on the battery directly connect to the Wi-Fi all the time. But unfortunately, I cannot find anything. But today, I will be proud to present you a Shelly Motion, the first Wi-Fi sensor directly connected to internet all the time on a battery which can work more than 1 year. First, I want to say thank you for the Shelly community. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your patience while we are developing the brand new technology and deliver for you an amazing product. I also want to say thank you to Silicon Labs for developing their latest Wi-Fi IoT technology, which give us a possibility to make such amazing product, and not only this one. They will join with us later to present some of their amazing technology. At the end of the presentation, you can ask some questions directly on the Facebook or YouTube live streams, and you can try to answer to some of them. If you cannot answer to all of them because maybe they will be too much, we can do that in the next day. You know, we are always there, close to you. Without additional delay, I want to introduce you the start of this event, Shelly Motion.
We dreamed of creating the perfect Wi-Fi motion sensor, a motion sensor that consumes so little power that it can stay connected to the internet 24/7, with no need to recharge or replace the battery for over 1 year. What was a dream before is now a reality. We present to you Shelly Motion, a new generation motion sensor. With the lowest power consuming Wi-Fi modem in mass production in the world, and a CPU powered by Silicon Labs Wi-Fi IoT solutions. With ultra-low power consuming technology, even connected to the Wi-Fi network 24/7, Shelly Motion's battery life can reach up to 3 years, depending on motion frequency. And after that, well, you simply recharge it. A sensor that is always connected to the Wi-Fi network, making it possible to detect motion in less than 200 milliseconds, as fast as the blink of an eye. Shelly Motion can immediately turn on the lights when you enter the room, or trigger a series of actions based on your needs. Set Shelly Motion to trigger other smart devices in your home network and customize the actions considering the day, hour, light intensity, sunset, or sunrise. With 256 levels of motion sensitivity, Shelly Motion will establish the optimal settings for each home. And rest assured that you will be immediately notified in case of unusual vibrations, thanks to the unique 128 levels of vibration sensitivity. You can control Shelly Motion directly, no hub required. Or, if you prefer, you can also connect it to almost any home automation platform. Welcome home.
It's looking good, yeah. Okay, let's go deeper. Together with my colleague Mircea and Taiwan, he is joining from his home. We will lead you through everything you need to know about the motion sensor. Ivan, we will now take you through a short presentation about the product. Please, Ivan.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us here. Let's have a sneak peek in the future. You know, creating the first device in the world that would last 3 years connected to a Wi-Fi network and over 1 year, even on a busy mode, was not an easy task. To achieve this, we've discovered and used the most modern components manufactured by leading suppliers. The most important part is the Wi-Fi chip, provided by Silicon Labs, our main partner. And thanks to them, we've created a firmware that adapts to all current Wi-Fi routers and provides over 400 times lower consumption than any other solution on the market. And that's not all. To achieve our goal, the latest model of batteries from Panasonic was provided with 6,500 milliamps in a compact volume. I will tell you more about that later. Let's not forget that this is a motion sensor, and we want our customers to get the opportunity for maximum sensitivity and setting that allows full control over it. For this, we use the most intelligent motion sensors from Excelitas. This is a German company that produces sensors for the aerospace industry. And the model we have chosen has a consumption only of 3.5 microamperes. Shelly Motion has an extremely sensitive level. Shelly Motion has an extremely sensitive level light sensor that is hidden under the lens, and although it is completely invisible, it perfectly measures whether the room is dark, dim, or light. This allows you to set the sensor to work in different modes. Not only that, the LED indication of presence of movement automatically changes the low power with each light up according to how bright is in the room. And if it's dark, it would not glow too brightly. If at the same time, it will be very visible in a bright room. Unless you turn off it completely, which is also an option. The built-in accelerometer will send an alarm if someone tries to touch or move it. I will tell you about that more later. You know, guys, it all works incredibly well. Anyone who had the opportunity to test how these technologies and sensors work together was really fascinated by the quality of the product and its sensitivity. So now let's talk about that battery more. Shelly Motion is powered by 2 cells of the latest generation Panasonic NCR 1865 OBD batteries. It is not only has 6,500 milliamps in a compact size, it is one of the safest batteries in the world. And you know, thanks to that, with only one charge, it provides operation for at least 1 year of motion sensor. And if the device is in a room where you do not go that often, that time might reach up to 3 years, permanently connected to the internet. Everybody, do you know that takes about 50 milliseconds to press a button on the wall, another 50 did button to react, and another 50 for the light to light up? And do you have any idea that the human eye needs about 150 and 200 milliseconds to detect a movement and analyze it? Well, what we have achieved is less than 200 milliseconds response after Shelly Motion detects a movement. This is really, really fast. You haven't seen a faster sensor other than those which are constantly powered. There is no other battery-operated Wi-Fi device in the world like Shelly Motion, and we achieve this no matter what router you use. You know, during the development of the sensor, it was tested by over 50 customers and partners selected by us around the world for more than 1 month. I remember the impression of one of them. He said, "This sensor knows I'm here. It senses me. Even if I don't move, he knows I'm in the room and turns off the light only if I go out." The motion sensor is extremely sensitive. It has 256 levels to choose from, and if you want to change it and adjust it to your needs. You know, one of the disadvantages of the most security sensors is that they can be easily moved. They all have a sensor to send information when it's open, but there are almost none that will report in case someone tries to move or touch it. Well, not the case with Shelly Motion. To meet the higher security requirement, in his heart waits an accelerometer that will immediately send an alarm if someone even touches it. It has 128 levels of sensitivity for those who live above the subway or near tram that can cause a vibration. In the Shelly Motion, we even set up an algorithm that can detect an earthquake. Hey, we are still working on that one. Discover the full Shelly Motion capability by using it with all other Shelly devices. That will give you a great opportunity to choose from. I remember in the group when we first announced that we were about to achieve the impossible and to create a device that could run on a battery for a long time, constantly connected to the internet, of course. Most of you thought we were talking about a Wi-Fi 6 or a hub, and now you know. Shelly Motion works with every router on the market, with every mesh network. And there is no need of a hub. Just turn it on and connect it to your home Wi-Fi network. Shelly Motion sensor will work out of the box with most third-party systems. We worked all the time with our partners from Home Assistant, OpenHub, so you can use it as soon as you receive it. Everybody see that there is no Google Home. Well, unfortunately, they do not currently support any motion sensors. But once they do, you'll be able to use it immediately. Thank you very much. Guys, let me show you some magic, by the way. Here we are. Here we go. Nice, huh? That's a fast reaction. Let me guide you through some of the settings here. Let me give you some more details about the sensor setting and control. Illumination definition. Shelly Motion has a built-in light sensor. It measures light intensity in lux. You can assign 3 different light modes: dark, twilight, and bright. Each light mode can be customly predefined. By default, dark is under 100 lux, twilight is between 100 and 500, and bright is above 500. Then, let's talk about motion sensitivity. That allows you to adjust the sensor's level of sensitivity. By default, the value is 50, which allows the detection of an object over 15 kilos at a distance of 5 meters. If you have a pet, setting the value will allow the sensor not to detect it while moving around. Please have in mind that large pets can be detected, especially if they stand up on their hind legs. You can adjust sensor sensitivity levels based on your needs. Motion blind time can be set in range of 1 to 5 minutes. Within the blind time period, motion detection will not be reported. Only motions detected after blind time will be reported and information will be sent. Pulse count. That allows the sensor to send alerts only if the motion is repeated. It's usually used to avoid any false notifications. By default, the value is 1, and you can increase it up to 4. Motion detection operating mode. Light control based on certain light conditions. These options are in any light, dark, dusk, or light. If the sensor is not in any of the specific range of illumination, it will not detect movement and will not perform any action. Tamper alarm sensitivity. Shelly Motion has a built-in accelerometer to detect vibration and tamper. If someone is trying to divert or move it from where you've placed it, you'll be immediately notified. You can adjust sensitivity level based on your convenience and location. This may be needed if you use the sensor in a place where may be a vibration from vehicles or any other cases. Motion sensor. From here, you can enable or disable device motion detection. When disabled, the sensor will not send information in case of motion until it is enabled again. And of course, there are many other settings that you might know from our previous devices. Enjoy it. Thank you.
So thank you, Ivan. In order to show what we have achieved, we compared the power consumption with other Wi-Fi devices. What we see on the screen is power consumption comparison of ESP32, Wi-Fi low power modem, and Shelly Motion at the same time in green. This is confirmation for our key statement that Shelly Motion is ultra low power consumption Wi-Fi device. Hey Mitko, can you share some more details about this, please?
Yeah, because I personally working to optimize power consumption for this device. I can tell that it's really impressive. Cannot believe that such a consumption is possible. But when I compare this one, you can see that ESP32 or 8266 is consuming 90 milliamps per hour. Even when we try and find the lowest 12 power modem on the market, we see that it's consuming 34 milliamps per hour. And then the Shelly Motion, what we achieve with the Silicon Labs technology and also with the all parts combined inside is 300 microamps, which is really amazing. Can achieve us to make this sensor so much to make this sensor to long-lasting battery more than a year. This is the green graphics below, and that's the difference between the ESP and the most of the Wi-Fi chipset and the Shelly Motion is 420 times less consumption, always connected to the Wi-Fi network. That's something which is unbelievable, also from beginning for us.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dimitar. Someone who is the expert on this topic, on low power consumption Wi-Fi technology, is Nick Dutton, Senior IoT Product Marketing Manager at Silicon Labs. I would like to invite him to join us directly from California and give us more insights of the latest Wi-Fi for IoT by Silicon Labs. Hello, how are you, Nick? Good morning.
Hi, guys, thank you for having me. And good morning, good evening, wherever you might be to everybody else. Thank you for joining.
So now it's your slot to present how you support us to achieve this really impressive fast response rate and long-lasting battery life.
Certainly. Thank you for the invite. Before I start, a quick introduction to Silicon Labs for people that don't know us, because I'm sure there are people out there that this is the case for. We are an IoT company, we're a semiconductor company, we're a software company, but we're very, very focused on the IoT market itself. And as you can see from some of the numbers below, you can see that we are not a small company. We've been around now for about 20 years, highly focused, as I mentioned a moment ago. And we are covering many protocols in the IoT space. In the context of today, we're going to talk about Wi-Fi a little bit, which is one of the most exciting protocols, in my personal opinion, having worked on the protocol now for about 10 years. So I guess having introduced ourselves, I think another thing that we should do really is just introduce Wi-Fi generally, because a lot of people have a preconceived notion of what Wi-Fi is from their laptop and their PC experiences. So why Wi-Fi generally? Well, Wi-Fi is a ubiquitous standard. It connects everything to the internet. If you're not connecting it wirelessly, you're connecting by Ethernet. They are very, very similar protocols. Over the years, it's also become one of the most cost-effective protocols as well, because as mentioned earlier by the guys, there is no need for these additional hubs. They connect directly into your home routers, your business routers, and so forth. The other thing that you should know about Wi-Fi is it annually has a massive deployment. There are about 3 to 4 billion devices added to the internet via Wi-Fi every year. And in the IoT space, and when I say IoT space, I'm talking about products such as you can see on the screen here, as opposed to smartphones and tablets and computers. There are nearly 1 billion devices nearly of these things also. So you can see that it is a very, very involved protocol for the internet. Now, one of the things that this whole webinar has been low power. Now, historically, most people don't think of Wi-Fi in terms of low power, but there are every year about 200 million battery-powered devices brought to the market. So you can see, again, big market for Wi-Fi. One of the things that is good about Wi-Fi, it's also a very scalable technology. So if you're making products that are streaming video or being used for camera type products or audio type products, it takes care of high bandwidth. But in products such as the ones we're talking about today, where very low bandwidth requirements are there, such as command and control, sensors and such the like, Wi-Fi also lends itself to these markets as well. That put together with the fact that it does work with all major ecosystems, such as Google, Amazon, Apple, and so forth. Once they've brought this into their own ecosystems with Motion, this will obviously be perfect for Google as well, as we mentioned. But there are other initiatives coming forward as well, such as the project Connected Home over IP, which allows Wi-Fi to become the backbone of a lot of these other protocols in the future. So if you're looking to use Z-Wave or Zigbee and such the like, Wi-Fi still lends itself to these applications. Now, moving forward though, where does Wi-Fi sit in the IoT space? Well, most people, as I said, have a preconceived notion of what Wi-Fi is. And this is because most chipsets are built for infrastructure, high bandwidth, or even mains powered devices. They also usually sit in products with high resource hardware, big memory products, big CPU products. Again, not really the market for IoT in terms of sensors, command and control type products. There are unique challenges in these markets. We know that we need really low power consumption. Most of these applications are sleepy applications. Motion sensors, glass break sensors, vibration sensors spend most of their time sleeping. We also know in the IoT space, particularly in sensors which may be mounted high in a room, we do not want to do regular battery maintenance. Home users do not want to do that. This is why the Motion products we're talking about today, with their extended battery lives, are really fantastic to hear about. We also know that because of the cost challenges in a lot of these type of products, we need to use smaller microcontrollers, smaller memory. So we don't want to have products that use the big number of protocols that are available through Wi-Fi. There are a much smaller number of protocols that are needed to achieve a given task. So in these smaller products, we can cherry pick the appropriate protocols that are needed to help reduce those requirements on the resources. We also have certain challenges in Wi-Fi that come from an overcrowded RF spectrum. Now, most of you might think of this in terms of the conference room environment, which has a lot of phone products. But in the home environment, the RF spectrum is not as crowded as many people think of. But in hub products, there are some things called Wi-Fi coexistence technologies, which we are a big player in this, which actually works with the other protocols to adjust the requirements on the spectrum. So if a Zigbee product wants to transmit from a hub, you can talk in the background with the Wi-Fi to say, hey, please do not transmit at this moment so I can get my tiny message out. Again, this helps reduce the power consumption because you do fewer retries in a product and you achieve more first time. Okay, so what are the other things that we need to think about as the market grows? Well, one of the biggest things that needs to be thought about is the aspect of security. Now, IoT in particular is heavily focused on security, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the security concerns and how companies like ourselves are addressing that and how regulation plays into that in a moment. And one of the last things that is obviously important in Wi-Fi and IoT is to get rid of all the displays. So IoT Wi-Fi products tend to use rich GUI interfaces such as those that you saw a moment ago to configure the devices. This has been a new and big change for the Wi-Fi space because historically that wasn't available. But as smartphones and tablets have grown, particularly in the home space, this has made a big adoption to the Wi-Fi protocol. Okay. In highlighting a number of those things, there were a couple of things that I touched on, which I know a lot of you are interested to because I've been watching the chats in the background here. Power consumption is one of the big things that we've been talking about so far today. So let's just show you some of the things that we've been doing on our silicon to help address that. One of the most important things to do is to not have a Wi-Fi chip fully on all the time. So we create a lot of power islands, as we call them, within the chip, where we turn on sections of the chip for specific type tasks for specific times, and then immediately shut that down. This means the overall average current used by a Wi-Fi chip for IoT can be a lot lower. But of course, there is a challenge there. We need to ensure that when we need that block, it wakes up very, very fast. And these are two of the key aspects that help us with the Wi-Fi space in the Silicon Labs product portfolio. So we also build into the Wi-Fi stack the capability to do a lot more power management, and we expose that to our customers, which you're seeing in some of the products that you saw today when they were doing some power comparisons earlier. Again, you are able to shut down bits of the chip that are not required unless you absolutely need them. In multi-protocol situations, this power management capability also allows us to shut down the antenna and power amplifiers of the Wi-Fi only when needed. In a multi-protocol situation, one of the biggest burns of power is to shut down the amplifier, then tell the other protocol to just wake it up. But if the two tasks can talk to each other, we don't need to go through that time period to shut down and wake up the power amplifiers. So our stacks are a lot more multi-protocol aware. The stacks also build in the aspect of working from a single core. Often this is not done in a lot of other solutions. There are multi-cores which are operating different aspects of the stack. Again, this all burns background power, which doesn't help us in battery-powered applications. There is another aspect to our design, because one could argue we need more of those functions available depending on the application. So yes, a lot of our designs use what we call a split MAC design. This allows us to use our products with higher end microcontrollers and lower end microcontrollers, depending on what the customer is looking for. In the case of the motion sensor, obviously it makes sense to move to the smaller microcontrollers to make use of that lower power advantage, because a lot of the time we're going to be in a sleep mode. Interoperability becomes another problem, typically with wireless communications. If different vendors are using different chipsets with different versions of the stacks, there may be some interoperability problems. Silicon Labs invests heavily in ensuring that we work with other vendor solutions, and we do a lot of testing for that. We also do a lot of testing on the router performance to make sure that all these retries and these dropped packets do not affect the overall current consumption. But there is one thing that we are doing more than I think most vendors today, is we are thinking about security from the IoT point of view. Security can be a big problem in IoT because there's not just the protocol aspects of security and the encryption that's required there. There's the problems that come about when people can get hold of a device and start probing the device itself to understand the network credentials and such the like. So we invest very, very heavily on that kind of product. So we ensure that we do encryption of the serial buses with one-time use encryption keys, which are also reset through any power cycling. We ensure that the boot mechanisms are fully encrypted and are authenticated as true firmware before they can be used. We look at the over-the-air update functionalities of the product. So when new functionality is added to a given product, only authorized users can program this over the air. And this again is all done with the use of security keys that are not publicly available and are regenerated on every use case. And the last thing, which is a very surprising thing, most people don't realize that products can be accessed through the debug ports. And a lot of customers forget to close these things. We include a new secure debug capability to ensure that that debug port can only be unlocked through the use of a Diffie-Hellman key exchange. This is all incredibly important to ensure that the product is safe from a hands-on attack. Again, this is a different problem than the encryption used by the protocol itself. If you can get in before the encryption, again, the product becomes open. That's why we're closing these aspects of the protocol. Now, security is a big deal. The problem in IoT is that security is often not designed in from the start. By putting this in the chips itself and in the stacks itself, we actually help enforce that to happen. The other problem is security is rarely demanded as a feature. It's usually put right at the bottom of the list because money saving in small gadgets is the key requirement. By Silicon Labs taking all of this on itself, it becomes less of a concern to the design engineers that are creating products. To iterate, though, why security is a big deal, if we look at the FBI report that went from 2018 to 2019, there was a 2,000% increase in attacks on IoT devices, which is a move from an IT support to an OT support issue. Why do I say it's no longer an information technology support thing, and I say it is an operational technology support thing? This is because ransom attacks on IoT have become a big thing against companies, and this affects the brand of the company. So again, by us adding these security aspects to the device itself, we help protect the brand of our customers and the consumer association with that. This is particularly important in healthcare, in manufacturing, retail, and energy markets. But we're not alone in this. Legislation is coming in on IoT devices to force the issues. So a lot of the key care-abouts, which are listed by the European standard EN 303645, or by the US standard, which is brought out by the NIST group under 8259A, is ensuring a lot of the software integrity, firmware updates, and such the like are taken care of by vendors. But how do customers start with our Wi-Fi? Well, firstly, they can look at the architecture. Do they want a transceiver-only design using their own microcontrollers and such the like? Do they want a full system on chip, which has the MCU, the stack and application built in? Or do they want a split design where there's a low-cost external microcontroller that uses a Wi-Fi modem with the link in between encrypted? We offer all of those together with various reference softwares to get people going and a standardized reference board mechanism to help share the load when they're going across multi-protocol situations. Together with all these, we offer a free design studio. And as part of those design studio, we deliver the stacks. We do a project management thing, which helps bring all these products together in a much faster time. And we offer a network analyzer and an energy profiler tool so that you can actually see how your product will perform in real life. If you have a device that is split apart and used as part of a bigger network, we can actually look at that whole network to report back so you can see retry efforts. You can look at your code to help address those and overall lower the battery use. And then, of course, this all comes together in this energy profiler that shows the whole chip in the wake-up stages and shutdown stages, so you can see at a chip level what's going on to optimize the code. And a lot of these things are why this product is coming together to make one of the most exciting Wi-Fi products that's coming out. And I believe to be just the beginning of what is going to come from this company. So, to everyone, I am very excited to say we're really pleased to be partnered here with this team. They're a great group of people to work with, and we're excited to see where this goes. So thank you, and back to the studio.
Thank you very much, Nick, for sharing these details with everyone for the latest Wi-Fi innovation Silicon Labs is bringing to the IoT world.
Thank you very much.
Now, let's see once again the Shelly Motion real magic, how it looks like. So due to the connection of Shelly Motion sensor 24/7, without any delay, it can activate any device, like turning on these lights in our office. This makes Shelly Motion a unique product on the market, and it is not comparable with motion sensors working on other technologies. Now, Mitko will tell us something more about the testing process.
Yeah, we do that. We need about 6 months developing the sensor from scratch, and over the 50 members of the Shelly community has a chance to test it and to improve it, to give us also some advice how to improve the sensor, the features, and everything. And they do really amazing job for this. I want to present also some first impressions from the industry leading for reviewers located in different countries around the world. And also after that, you can see some videos from the members of the community which have a chance to use the sensor in the last 2 months and using in their and to make it for daily usage. Yeah, please.
Let's see what their impressions are.
Yeah.
At first, I was pretty skeptical about the need for the Shelly Motion. I've got dozens of Zigbee, Z-Wave, and RF PIR motion sensors that are low power and low cost. What more could the Shelly Motion offer to justify the increased battery consumption and cost of a Wi-Fi device? As it turns out, it offers a lot. So much, in fact, that I wouldn't even put the Shelly Motion into the same category as these other PIR devices. In general, PIR motion detectors have 2 settings that are controlled by small knobs. The first is the PIR sensitivity, and the second is the retrigger time. The Shelly Motion's ability to recognize every trigger with a very short cooldown, but then only send motion activations after a specific number of unique triggers, makes it significantly more accurate and reliable than other options. The added luminance sensor lets you gather data about what else might be happening at the time of the motion, like whether the lights are on or off. The Home Assistant Shelly integration provides tons of data to make complex automations, but the Shelly Motion itself is powerful enough to customize actions based on dozens of trigger combinations for use without a home automation hub. Is the Shelly Motion as small and compact as these other options? No, but it clearly makes up for it with its increased functionality and connectivity, giving us that local control that's made it a favorite among Home Assistant users.
How's it going? I've got some exciting news. My favorite smart home device company has just come out with a pretty unique device. This here is the new Shelly Motion Sensor, but it's not just any motion sensor. So what makes this one special? For one, it's Wi-Fi instead of Zigbee or RF. 2, it's got a rechargeable battery that is supposed to last up to 3 years on one charge. That's crazy. I haven't had it long enough to know if that's an accurate estimate. It does the other things that a good quality motion sensor can do, like adjust the sensitivity and adjust the retrigger time. It also has a built-in light sensor. And in the app, you can define how much light it takes to register light versus dark. And even better, you can set it so that it will only detect motion at night or during the day. And finally, I really like what happens when you activate the tamper sensor. That's just kind of fun. I'm kind of surprised that I'm actually excited about a motion sensor. But once again, the guys at Shelly have gone above and beyond and produced a really good device. Great work, fellas. Adios.
Probably think that this is a motion sensor. Well, not if we're talking about Shelly. This is a Shelly motion sensor, and it's actually packed to a brim with other sensors too. Apart from motion, it has the ability to discover shake. That's why it's right now giving you those nice and flashy colors. You can also discover luminosity in the room and use those to apply different rules and policies about your sensor itself. Very clever. All of this thanks to Wi-Fi. And you might be thinking, right, it's Wi-Fi, so how often do I have to change the battery? It can last up to 1 year or even longer, depending on how often it gets triggered. So call me impressed. There's only one thing to do. Put it on the wall and start playing with various controls, including the sensitivity, timeouts, sleep times, and luminosity, because you have an access to all of it and you can set up your own policies. If you want to learn more, definitely visit Not Enough Tech and I'll tell you how I use this new motion sensor from Shelly.
Hey guys, so today, just to chip in, it's not a review, it's not a project implementation. I've got here the Shelly Wi-Fi motion sensor, which I believe that will make our home even smarter. Now, I've been sharing for the past 2 years or so a lot of projects and a lot of implementations that have been making my home smarter, and I've shared that on my Portuguese and English YouTube channel, so it's really easy to find a lot of implementations there. But as an example, measuring power consumption, improving the way that I measure my power production from my solar panel PV system, water heater automatization with temperatures and power consumption, lights automatization, and a lot more projects that I've shared on my channels, and of course a lot more that will come in the future. And I'm sure that Wi-Fi motion sensor will be on a lot of them, making our home smarter. Now, this allied with a great Shelly software, which makes things really smart, and of course also the integration with Home Assistant, which I've shared some videos on the channels as well, and we will have a lot of things to implement. That being said, guys, hope that you are okay on that side of the screen, and I'll see you on the next one.
I was looking forward to testing this product since I understand how difficult it is to get a battery-operated Wi-Fi sensor to work quickly and reliably. But the Shelly Wi-Fi motion sensor manages to get it right. Most importantly, it feels that the response is very quick. The sensor is turning on my Shelly Wi-Fi bulb almost instantly as I walk into the room. The built-in ambient light sensor allows the device to perform scenarios which otherwise take multiple sensors and additional integration to do, such as activation only at low light conditions. Well thought out design and excellent execution.
First, the motion detection. The Shelly Motion switches Shelly 1 that is installed behind this switch. Shelly 1 then switches a normal light bulb. Of course, this also works directly with the Shelly Duo or a Shelly Vintage. As you can see, the motion switches very quickly, just as fast as a wired connection. Second test, I'm entering a room with very little light. The Shelly Motion is 4 meters from the door at a height of 1 meter. He switched it again immediately. Third test, let's make a little more demanding. I'm testing the vibration detection. Motion detection is switched off in connection with a third-party alarm system. This is a 2-year device that I connected via IFTTT, so the Shelly Motion switches it with a webhook. This creates a certain delay, but the Shelly Motion switches again very quickly.
Okay, did you see? You can do that without any additional hub, without any third-party system. There is just a Shelly motion sensor and the relay or both connected to in the same Wi-Fi network, and even can be connected not in the same Wi-Fi network, can be connected everywhere in the world. And if the motion detection is happened, then the sensor will immediately react. This is the amazing. It really is working very fast with the new technology. But now thank you for your participation, but now it's most important moment that the sales is open and the price of the Shelly motion sensors is $39.90 US and 39.22 euro, excluding tax. You can buy it now. And also I see some questions regarding the cups, the Shelly cups and t-shirts. They're also available on shop. You can put in additional in your bag together with the motion sensor and receive them very shortly. Hurry up, secure your device. We have limited stocks available for this first production. Maybe don't have for everyone, but soon we will have more on stock. Anyway, let's see how many people can have it in next few days. You know, the first buy, the first serve.
Thank you for the great comments and support during this event. Extremely valuable when they come from you, our satisfied customers. We see many interesting questions coming from Facebook and YouTube at the moment, and now we will reply some of them live. Cam Witt, Wi-Fi product manager from Silicon Labs, will join us during this Q&A session. Hello, Cam. How are you? How is in Texas now?
I'm fine, thanks. Thanks for letting us join this. Nick and I are really pleased to be part of this. It's great to see our products used in such a great tool. So yeah, feel free with some questions, particularly in the Wi-Fi arena.
Yes, I think there is. Let's see the questions. There's so many questions, but okay. I think the first question is related directly to you. Can you answer this question? Yeah, is there a Wi-Fi modem 6 modem required to be used with motion sensor? No?
No problem. I'd love to answer this one. Yeah, Wi-Fi 6 is not required. Frankly, Wi-Fi 6, the infrastructure is still being rolled out on this. It's a couple years away. A lot of end devices don't need Wi-Fi 6 today. This is actually based on Wi-Fi 4. The good news is, though, that once you deploy the Shelly Motion product, once the Wi-Fi 6 devices come out, it's fully backward compatible. It'll work with any router in the future, Wi-Fi 6 or earlier. So good question. We don't need it now, but when we do need it, it's going to be there for us.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for this, for your answer. We're ready for the next question. Our colleagues, just because there's so many questions, but yeah. What is the lens angel? Okay, the distance. About the angel, yes, you can try. It's not 180. It's 150, 60 degree, and the duration in the maximum sensitivity, it's more than 12 meters. For this reason, for example, in my home, I need to from one of the sensors, I need to put to set a lowest sensitivity, because I don't need, well, when I'm not going in the corridor, Wi-Fi motion sensor to be switch the bulbs on. Also, if using outdoor, the sensor cannot be used without any protection. But if there is the covered place where we can place it, you can use it without any problems. But in this case, also you maybe need to set a different sensitivity, because if the sensitivity is too high, you can detect some fake motion, something else. Yeah.
Let's see some other questions.
Other questions?
And Cam, can you explain us a little more about how you achieve so low consumption for the Wi-Fi part when with the constantly connectivity to the network?
I can, but actually Nick could do that better. If you could let Nick back in, he'd love to. He was actually ready to answer this one. So.
Okay.
Sorry, I wasn't in a moment ago. How can it be about? There was actually a lot of tricks in Wi-Fi that allows you to actually lower the power, generally speaking. Again, what I mentioned earlier is a lot of these are not implemented because most chipsets are not designed with a focus around IoT. Being that we have a lot more focus around IoT, you as the designer have a lot more access to be able to shut down a lot of these parts of the chip, which honestly speaking makes up a lot of the difference. There are some tricks that can be done in Wi-Fi generally if you had control of both sides, namely the access point and the device. But in this particular product, we can't assume we have access to the router. So some of those tricks can't be applied. They tend to be more commercially available. I mentioned also that we have this ability for you to be able to control certain sections of the stack, which is a little bit more accessible. And so when you were developing your code, you were taking advantage of a lot of those capabilities, which was able to draw down the whole power, yet maintain the connection with the main router itself. So without jumping into the actual code level development aspects of what you implemented, it's a bit tough to get into some of those questions in detail.
Basically, I can add something which maybe can explain what's happening. For example, there is the deep sleep bot, but constantly connected, and when you pinging the motion sensor, you will see that after a few seconds, the motion sensor will respond every 2 seconds to the pings. Between these two pings, the motion sensor is sleeping and don't consuming any energy. This is you call this one, and also you call it for in our development is beacon skip, because the sensors start to skip 20 beacons from the Wi-Fi, but still connected and can't receive the network event at the same time, because it's connected. If there is the event, a motion event or vibration event, the sensor can react extremely fast, wake up the full power of the chipset, because basically the CPU of the PsyOps is very powerful, and to use this power to react and to send requests over MQTT, HTTP, or COAP immediately. Okay. I think I already answered this question, inside or outside too. Yes, the sensors can be used outside, but in covered area. There is at the moment we don't have any additional shells. We're planning it, but we don't have something which can protect them from the direct water drops or something else. But if there is the top roof or something else, is not a problem to be used outside. Also in temperature, which is
minus 10.
Yeah, minus 10 up to minus 20 degree, there is no problem to be used outside. Maybe the battery Wi-Fi will be affected, but not so much.
I can add to that as well, if you wish, that being an IoT chipset, an IoT focused chipset, our Wi-Fi products have actually got an extended temperature range. So this is not talking about the motion sensor itself, but the Wi-Fi chip itself. We have an extended temperature range as a pretty much as a standard offering across our products, which do help them in this external and internal environment situation.
Okay, next question. Yes, we have plans. It's already in development, some new sensors. Basically, because really the technology is very powerful and give us, it's open our eye and our hands to do more for our customers. Yes, there will be, which one exactly, I cannot say at the moment, but they are in development and you will be very excited.
Let's see. Another question.
I think maybe one more questions, yes, and that will be the last one, and the other questions we can answer. Yeah,
there are a lot of available questions, but unfortunately we are not able to address them all today. We will follow up them directly at the social media channels later on.
Okay. About the cover, no, I think at the moment there is no plans to be available in black. If there's lots of requests, we can do that, but it's not in the pipeline. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you for the great community which support us all the time. And dear Shelly friends, thank you that you will be part of this live event. Thank you for sign-ups, guys, which support us also a lot. And you see, I see nowadays that many orders is already confirmed in our shops. So very soon you will be able to enjoy the comfort of your home automation with the latest Shelly Motion sensor, which is stay connected 24/7 on your Wi-Fi network. We will promise you, we will not stop here. In our commitment to bring a new product on the Wi-Fi technology devices that will work both in your local network and through the cloud. And I think very soon, in next 2 or 3 months, you'll see many new devices with the different, which using the different technologies, and a huge improvement in also in the application, because now that's one of the most frequently questions which I see in our Facebook groups. We're working on the completely new application, and I think in March you will have a chance to test it and to use it. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
We dreamed of creating the perfect Wi-Fi motion sensor, a motion sensor that consumes so little power that it can stay connected to the internet 24/7, with no need to recharge or replace the battery for over 1 year. What was a dream before is now a reality. We present to you Shelly Motion, a new generation motion sensor. With the lowest power consuming Wi-Fi modem in mass production in the world, and a CPU powered by Silicon Labs Wi-Fi IoT solutions. With ultra-low power consuming technology, even connected to the Wi-Fi network 24/7, Shelly Motion's battery life can reach up to 3 years, depending on motion frequency. And after that, well, you simply recharge it. A sensor that is always connected to the Wi-Fi network, making it possible to detect motion in less than 200 milliseconds, as fast as the blink of an eye. Shelly Motion can immediately turn on the lights when you enter the room, or trigger a series of actions based on your needs. Set Shelly Motion to trigger other smart devices in your home network and customize the actions considering the day, hour, light intensity, sunset, or sunrise. With 256 levels of motion sensitivity, Shelly Motion will establish the optimal settings for each home. And rest assured that you will be immediately notified in case of unusual vibrations, thanks to the unique 128 levels of vibration sensitivity. You can control Shelly Motion directly, no hub required. Or, if you prefer, you can also connect it to almost any home automation platform. Welcome home.